Alright, we're gonna do this again. Try this again. I think we have... Alright. And we're gonna do this again. Try this, round 2. Now I got that other part out of my system. Welcome in. Ask questions if you want. You can hold a question in mind, have an intention for the whole thing or not, or whatever. Here we are. Points of reference. I guess just to orient you to where my headspace has been at today. We're taking shape, right? Things are taking shape. Ideas are beginning to take shape. Did I talk some about the other stuff? No, I guess not. We're just gonna start fresh. We're gonna act like the other one didn't even happen. Okay, so the geometry of art and life by Matelia, Ika, one point of reference. Things taking shape, talking about how harmonics and analyzing harmonics. Harmonic analysis. What is the harmonic analysis? Determines the way things take shape. Or how things take shape are determined by aspects of frequency, sound, vibration. I'm going to show you again. I started out the other one, harmonic analysis of horse in profile. I don't know if you can see it because the light is so bright. Okay. How things fit into a box. We're going to construct the box in this realm of inversions and opposites in order to get you out of the box. Where we're going to talk about shaping, creating shapes in order to structure a future, a reality perhaps that you want. It's not so much about choices. We're talking about cultivating conscious creativity, culture. What is conscious creativity? I did a radio show called Cultivating Consciousness, and I've been kind of obsessed with this idea of what is cultivating consciousness and how do neurological implications of aesthetics play into consciousness. What is art? What does art have to do with it? What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. Okay, I have a couple different decks. I'm just going to do things kind of simultaneously and start pulling some of these pieces together. Oh, I started out with the framework of the horse because I also, my other book reference, The Unicorn, the Donkey, and the Darling, Journey from Dissociation to Integration by Dawn Lindsay. Right, how do you bring in all these parts and pieces? Sorry, it's so bright and glary. Okay. These are books that I have found in my at-home library. Okay. Let me kind of ground and reorient. I'm going to smudge here. I think what I'm going to do is open up something from this dissociation book, and then we'll look at it as it pertains to our decks. I guess if you were part of the other one and got anything out of it, if you could hear anything out of it, that information is, you know, luckily meant for you. Yeah, let's smudge this out. Because we got a lot on our plates. We have a lot of options. I don't know, people like to think they have choice and that they're in control of things. Some people do. Some people are of the idea that things are preordained. We don't really know as far as science goes, right? We're going to talk about evolutionary consciousness as it comes to creating ideologies that will help us to overcome these difficulties, because if you're in this space looking for some sort of answer, it's, well, what do I do? Where do I go next? Who am I? What shape should I take? What does this look like? How should things look, right? People want answers, ideas, concepts, connections, community. conversation, conversion, conversing, conversion. But that shift, right? They're looking for a shift, some sort of change, something to shift the conscious ways of relating. We're just going to kind of flip through this. I have my Native American tarot. We'll start that as far as our answer. If we're looking for a question, we'll go there for an answer, and then we'll kind of dive down the rabbit hole and then just figure out whatever comes out. Again, if you have questions or want to know something kind of related to anything, feel free to put it in the comments and I'll do my best to redirect that. Otherwise, we'll just kind of see what happens here. Body recognition exercises. Between the walls. Disjointed in a dark night. Things that are disjointed, and we're talking about integrating things and bringing things together. The dark night is like the dark night of the soul, going through the difficult aspects in order to come into the light, but having to know what those things are. If it takes shit to make bliss, then I feel pretty blissfully. Thanks. That's Modest Mouse, the view. Favorite. Can't really know one without the other, like that whole fake positivity baloney. It's not really something that we're going to lean into here. I'll read the first line, and then I guess body recognition exercise number 1, and then we'll kind of start there, because if things are taking shape, then we have to understand and recognize what that shape is. Being understanding of mindful of what something was before in order to know what it is then, right? How do you know if something is converted, if something has changed? What is your point of reference, right? Where's the data? We're analyzing, right? We're taking a conscious stock of present time, disjointed in a dark night, between the walls, the interstices, right? That negative space is important. We talk so much about positive space, but what about the negative space? It's an art term if you don't know. After the apparent loss of ground, the soul's highest perspective was of an endless, barren wilderness. I don't want to read the whole thing. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't. This view, however, was its own perspective, not his heavenly view. Not truth, right? That's ego, not truth. It was a view of discouragement and distorted ideas about the fall and what it meant. Fall, loss, free fall. That's another idea and concept that's been going through. These are things that people have a difficult time dealing with, and that is why we're here in this space, is to figure out how to deal with that falling, how to get through that negative space, navigate the negative space, because there's nothing there to grasp. There's nothing tangible there. We have to create it. We have to consciously create it from nothing. We have to create the sound, the vibrations, the frequencies, and then the things will take shape. Yes, it is predictable. There's a predictability to it. I mean, that's why there's the geometry of life. You can see as above, so below. The laws of our nature are no different than the laws of the nature of, say, the horse. Back to this book, I mean, we have the picture of the horse inside the box. There's the picture of the man as it relates to the geometry as well. And it's similar to the Vitruvian man, but it's not I meant to show you yet. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so the man, can you see it? My apologies. The man, how the man takes shape, right? There's a star. The star is born. My first card on top of the native is the stars. right? The star, maiden, lady. Pardon my inverted backward nature and trying to make sure you can see this on camera. But the pain, right? She's got an arrow right through the heart. The pain, she feels it. Kind of have to know one to know what the other. Again, the horse in the box, man in the box, as above, so below. So as things take shape, the rules and the laws do follow. And if you can achieve that understanding, or that if you can achieve that standard through understanding of what these basic laws and principles are, yes, math is amazing. And if we're talking about geometry and the sacred geometry and how things form and take shape in the world, in the universe, and everything that we know to be anything, even behavior, it's formulaic, antecedent behavior, consequence. There's a pattern. There's a pattern to all of this. People somehow think they're outside of this pattern and in control of something. But that's not how things take shape. Body recognition exercise 1. Interesting book. I've just picked it up and I've been kind of scanning through it here and there. Because it's in the library and it caught my attention. Close your eyes and do a body scan, starting with your head. Internally, visualize each part of your body and notice if there is pain, numbness, tingling, burning, or any sensation in each part, right? So start with your head, bring your focus and your awareness, usually to the crown. You can even bring it above the head or talk about your energetic field and start playing around outside in that energetic bubble space too. We are more than the physical body. We radiate energy and electromagnetic fields, and within that electromagnetic field, and you might be able to sense it in your body depending on how attuned you are, how sensitive you are to these sort of things. I'm not too sure. If there is any of these sensations in your body, ask, why are you, fill in the blank, enter in the blank the sensation your body has, then listen. Many times our body remembers things we've forgotten and it needs to be healed. Visions sometimes occur with this exercise. Just be open to letting the Holy Spirit be in control. The body does hold memory. Whether we can consciously recall it or not, it is integrated into our very essence, into our DNA, into every cell, and even beyond the cells, into every DNA strand we have, if we should let it, right? We can talk about letting on some other tangential discussion. I don't know if it'll come up or not. The body scan. I mean, it's as simple as just kind of taking note of like a general sensation. What is the visceral reaction? Tapping into a collective breathing. Breathe in together. 1. Sinking. 2. Sinking. 3. Sinking. We're going to do the quantum work in here today. Yep, that's fine. That's cool. Let's see. This one will be interesting to come back to later in our research framework. Where do we go now? Okay, let's just go into our Native American. We'll go into the body. We've scanned the body. We're in the body. You might still be scanning your body. Well, what do I do if I find pain or if I notice something there? A quick way, muscle contraction, release, muscle tightening exercises. Releasing, noting, go into it. Google things you can do, begin your research journey, see what you're drawn to initially. I can tell you what to do, but people don't like to be told what to do. They have a tendency to be defiant. So see what you're drawn to, and you'll come to it in your own time, in your own way. It feels so much more peaceful in here now. Ooh, somebody just jumped in too. I wonder if that peaceful energy is you. Are you feeling it too, maybe? Let's talk about the stars and this reflection and the self-reflection, because I think a lot of this scanning has to do with that self-reflection and being very honest with the self. Morning star, the stars. Also note more than one, which is something that I like about this, because we're talking about constellations and putting the pieces together. If we're looking at constellations, North Stars, constellations, they can help us with direction, but as these constellations begin to take shape, and they are indicative of archetypes, they can direct us where to go. So this is why we use tarot and oracle in this space, because we're talking about archetypes and where they can direct us where to go. Not a whole lot of mystical power stuff behind it. I mean, there's a lot more to it. Where are you? I'll just show you here. It announces the rebirth of day and life. The stars are eyes for the world and nourishment for the sun that the young girl feeds with her own blood. You gotta feed yourself through your negative experiences, I guess, or just learn from the pain. That'll help to shape it. Something about the womb and life force, blood and DNA as well. I'm gonna shuffle through here. If you have questions, let me know. Because these are big transformations, and these aren't just like the woo-woo kind of transformations, like I want to get a new job, or I want to, like, sure, that might be part of it, but we're talking about transformation on an evolutionary scale, how to shape and form ourselves consciously. We are not sapient bodies that are ruled and determined by these laws outside of us that are telling us how we should heal, or that we cannot. We are tapping into that ethereal essence and those conscious concepts of I can heal myself with my thoughts, my internal intelligence, my body design, my DNA has the ability and the capacity to heal itself. Not only to heal, but to evolve, to transform, and to morph, whether I consciously will it to or not. It is part of a greater system, a greater whole, a greater, larger species, a greater, larger body of life form that is ever reaching towards evolutionary exchange, evolutionary potential. What can we become? And it's not like we're going to become something and that's it. There it is. We have to keep transforming, and death comes up, that death cycle. It's constant. Something has to be cleared and it has to be eliminated in order to be transformed, and so many people don't want to go through the process of it because they want to hold on to these ideas and these notions that things are a certain way, because it gives them a sense of control. It gives them a false illusion of stability, right? Of something that is unfazed by the environment around it, something that is separate from or deviated from the collective experience, and it's just not. Nothing is necessarily immortal. We have the cyclical aspect where death is going to come into play through all species, love, light, dark. There's like a formation of protection, but again, these rites of passage. Did I mention rites of passage in this one, or is that the first rendition of this? It might have been the first rendition of this, but that's fine. Are we gonna go that direction? See, people don't want to go there. People don't want to talk about the difficult things. That's fine. Let's kind of shift into... Okay, let me pull one more out of here so we have our 3. The High Priestess. So the other side of death, because it doesn't exist in its own sphere, is life, rebirth, love, nurturing. I mean, it's cyclical. There's always something that comes again. And this is the High Priestess. The High Priestess in numerology is a 2. 2 relates also to that negative energy or that negative space. And we have such a horrible connotation or concept around what negative means, because everything has to be so positive. Up, 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 climb, 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 on top. Like, our current culture is obsessed with that. We're going to talk about the Fool card. The Fool is a 0. It's new beginnings. It's that blank slate. It's stepping off the edge. It's that free fall. It's that being able to let go of everything that you think you know about the way that things are and step into the idea and the understanding that the world is what is going to direct you to where you're going. I have like this overarching wave of sadness at this point that's kind of hitting me, because I think this is where people are getting really triggered, and this is where people are checking out because they don't have the coping mechanisms to be able to get through this without the conflict. What do I have here? 8 of flamingos, right? They're like too blinded by the light in order to see through. But I have the world here too, and I have the world in this, so we'll look at what that is, because there's just a lot going on within the world right now, and you're experiencing an aspect of it. Everybody's feeling it, but nobody wants to talk about it. They think if they don't talk about it and they brush it under the rug, it's just going to go away. But it's not going to go away. It's something that's always going to be there. It needs to be integrated into the culture as something sacred. It's like we've made things sacred evil, and we've made that which is evil perceived to be sacred, and it's just not, because we live in this world where nothing is what it seems to be anymore. There's a huge veil of illusion, and you know there's a huge veil of illusion. You have to ask yourself where you're deluding yourself. You have to do the work, but you're not going to want to, because you're going to want to come to this space and have somebody tell you what you want to hear, but you're not going to want to do the work. So if you get to this point and you are listening through this and you are sitting in this uncomfortable space, thanks. Thank yourself too. Thank you. I know it can be challenging and rough, and this is where people get into fights and conflict, and they want to deviate and separate, and they don't want to integrate, and they don't want to kind of fall apart in order to put things back together again, which is unfortunate, because you're missing out on these golden opportunities to advance things before they get more difficult, because they're going to get more difficult one way or another. You can either be ahead of the curve and stay ahead of the curve here and just kind of get on top of it and be prepared for it, or once the shit hits the fan, so to speak, it's going to shock you into that space. I mean, I think a lot of people are already experiencing that shock and awe, because it's coming out in depression, suicide, angst, death. So much death and loss. And I hate to say it, I don't want to say it, but it's something that's been kind of eating and chewing. It's like it's something that needs to be said in terms of it's like certain people who have passed away in recent years. Some of them have been really tough and very personal. Maybe there's been like a sense of peace or something within you that has come up for that. Others, it seems like there's a sense of justice or kind of peace outside of that, and it's not like, okay, good thing that person is gone. But when I'm gonna say but when. Choose your words carefully, huh? If somebody does something horrible to somebody, and for whatever reason, years later, for things unrelated, they end up dying, they end up passing away. Some people will call it karma or whatever. There's a sense of relief for other people who have been left behind, but not everybody. I'm just gonna kind of jump off that topic here. Let's go into the world, because there's a lot of controversy kind of mixed into there. There's a lot of people's feelings that are, it's like I see it. It's like walking through a field of landmines, and we're not going to go walk through that field of landmines. We're going to kind of detour around that space. There's no need to go blowing off any limbs or anything here. We're not talking about that sort of a death, a literal death. We're talking about an ego death. Maybe one that's global. Which one is coming out first? I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna kind of be mindful of my time. I'm trying to stick to maybe an hour or something like that. Maybe not. I kind of want to take this into another space later too. Before I get too carried away. Okay, I'm listening. We'll finish this up, and then I'm gonna shift gears to my other platform and kind of dive deeper into this, because there's a lot that I want to explore here. And this is just a great warm-up space. And I love this. That's a kind of casual exploration of... No, it doesn't matter. Okay. Focus. Where are you? XXI. Ta'awi Chaloan, the ball game, the world. The ball is the sun that rolls in the sky and gives life to the four elements. The crystal tobacco plant, the smoking pipe, and the pitcher, or rather, air, earth, fire, and water. All the elements, everything that's holistic. Okay, let's see what Alice has to say about that. Because sure, it's elemental, it's natural, it's part of what it is, and fear has been induced. Alice, where are you in the world? Down our rabbit hole we go. Almost there. Alice stands in one of the squares that make up the looking glass world. Again, when it comes to sacred geometry and things that make up the world and things that make up the spaces and things that are bringing things into shape and taking shape of things, squares. What square are you standing in, right? For whatever that is worth. One of the squares that make up the Looking Glass world. Only a few steps remain in Alice's adventures, and then she becomes the White Queen. The symbolism is that of completion, of having the world put into proper order, of things going the way they should. The goal to which all other cards have led: perfection, Eden, fulfillment, the end of the path to wisdom, spirit and life, everlasting, a pleasant outcome. In some cases, what might be if warnings are obeyed, and high magic. If you're feeling like you're feeling short of a goal and you're not reaching it there, just know it's because you're not there yet. Like, you're just gonna have to keep swimming, little fishies, and keep going. It's a difficult process. 8 flamingos. Censure and censorship. Bad news, temporary bondage, a person dominated by another person or by a situation, making one's own prison, sickness, conflict, or severe disaster. Careful about choice and what you think choices are. Your choices are limited by the concepts and the conditions that you are conditioned by. You don't know what you don't know, you know? Donkey, the body, is burdened down with many things because, darling, the soul is worried about many things. It is the sin of worry, anxiety, carefulness, bitterness. It's Leviticus 13:51-52. Kelly Varner in this book understands type, shadows, and names, explains, let's see, fretting, meaning to be bitter, or causatively to embitter, or be painful. It is also rendered in the King James Version as picking. The Greek word for bitterness is pikura, or acridity, like poison, right? Careful is from sharad, which means to shudder with terror, hints to fear, also to hasten with anxiety. Let's see. What is the point? Take some time now to do this important enlargement of your soul. This may take some time to complete, but it's vital to your growth and happiness. Create the space for it. Create the space and the time and the energy to go through the process of it, and then process through it. Like this kind of a space, whatever your space looks like, and however that's going to come into its fruition. And we'll get back to the point of the evolutionary rainbow, 6 pentacles, the rainbow bridging things together here, or the bridge that integrates and puts all of these pieces together. People just need safe space, or need space where they can process a lot of these difficult emotions so they can come out on the other side. And a lot of that space just doesn't exist. It gets shut out and shut down by other people who have a lack of understanding, who just don't know. Am I hearing thunder already? It's been a couple of days of like pretty intense heat and evenings of these thick clouds and thunder. It's been a nice, like, ionizing kind of like reset. It almost feels like a detoxing of sorts. The spirit of the rain has rainbows for legs and arms, bridges between the earth and the sky. Water bridges the earth and the sky. Water is emotions, being able to share those emotions. And then the Fool comes into here too. I'll read you about the Fool out of both decks. And I think I'm going to close off this space. I think I've got myself grounded in. I'm kind of digging deeper into this space. I need to go draw or something here for a few minutes and kind of shift gears a little bit and process this a bit more. Yes, a lot is integrating. This was the ancient key given to me by the unicorn. Once I stopped eating the bread of insignificant and not loved, I noticed that Donkey's belly was greatly reduced in size. The unicorn offered an answer to my unspoken observation. The heavenly bread of love nourishes the soul, so the body needn't be expanded with the lying food of insignificant. I'm kind of reading this one backwards. Without a leg to stand on, its twin wall, insignificant, began to crumble. As it cried out its pain, the unicorn reappeared. His compassionate countenance lifted up to the heavenly realm. His intercession looked like my grief poured out into the heavenly realm. Quickly after that, I felt lighter than ever before. No longer would I eat the bread of insignificant and not loved, for they had been transformed into significant and loved. The table within remained in my belly and became a servant, delivering the bread of heavenly love and significance to fellow travelers of all nations. The other and I cried for the beauty of love's effect. I knew then that the beloved loves me as much as all others. It's point and purpose. I really dislike being made to feel insignificant. I mean, people can't make you feel a certain way, right? You're responsible for your own emotions. But oh boy, there are definitely people out there who will attempt to do so. Be the fool, be naive, see the peace and the love through it all. Okay, let's look at what the fool has to say. And then I'm going to close this session off. You can reach out to me for private readings anytime if you want. This feels like a very clear space right now, which is great. Feels very clear. It's kind of empty in here, maybe that's why. For now, that's fine. That means when you read this later, it'll be loud and clear. Maybe that's kind of the point behind the microphone, too. Something for me to meditate on before I go into the latter part of this. Fool, the divine trickster. The god with the head of a coyote is the antihero, the transgressor, the rebel that disrupts and mocks. He finds the keys to life in laughter. Changing molds, overcomes rigidness and death. Oh, there's kind of a key to this whole thing right there for us, right? Because if we're talking about things taking shape, creating shape, putting shape into things, changing molds overcomes rigidness and death. So if it's like the death part of it that triggered something and you're like, fear, then you shut down and leave, or you go out of this space, or you don't want to absorb this information, or you find yourself in the realm of deviance or resisting, or kind of fighting me in this, or kind of having the conversations in your head of yeah but, the arguing with me. This is where people start to argue with me. Changing your mold. You have to be open to changing your mold and your ideas and your minds and releasing the things and shifting the container. Kind of like a hesitancy and a big deep breath and a whatever, because I feel myself at the precipice of getting to make a big change and changing and shifting that container, and it's nerve-wracking. There are so many thoughts and things that are the yeah buts. What is the fool in this one over here? The coyote, the trickster. Things aren't what they seem to be, you see? And the things that scare you the most are probably things that you should lean into. And I just think it's so funny because I see there's people that are resisting this information and resisting this space and resisting reaching out. You're trying to go through these processes. That's fine. Fine. To each their own. The hermit stays on the hilltop with the light on so that people show up when they're ready. It is not up to me to go down to you and try to bring you up to here. Believe me, I have tried and I have tried and I have tried again and again and again to do this, and it's just not working. I'm bringing myself down to other people's levels to try to form connections instead of doing what I know best and feel called to do. Why? The pressure to homogenize, the pressure to be normal, I want to say never being permitted to just be you. Did I go through that in this one? Patience pays, wait, good things will come, consolidate, concentrate, just be you. This whole thing, meditation, little tidbit is something that I've been chewing on through my realm, or through my initiating journey in Kundalini. And how long ago was that now? 15 years. So like patience, how long have I been waiting? Like more than a decade. maybe a decade at least, a 10-year cycle. There's like some of these other little cycles kind of playing into there, right, where you plant these seeds that germinate over long periods of time, or even the what are the cicadas or whatever? Okay, don't get too far off track. The thunder and the rain. I love it. I love the rain in the desert. Okay. Let's do this and close out this before we get too deep into it, because whatever. The Fool, unnumbered. The Mad Hatter stands on the edge of a cliff. He wears a hat he made himself and holds a slice of bread. His shoes are untied. A hedgehog watches him. Everything foolish in all its form, lack of careful thinking, disregard of consequences, mania or excess. So be mindful of your excesses. Be careful of the things that are going to whatever. I mean, it's a free fall. I mean, it's a blank slate, and you kind of have to know you know nothing in this space and learn and be open to kind of the ridiculousness of it all. Did I go into our flamingos here? I think I did. Do I have one more for you? Okay, I think this one is important because I feel this for sure. And I definitely feel kind of this is where I'm at if I'm trying to orient you to my own headspace and trying to get you, trying to get us all here on the same page as we advance these projects forward. These projects and these manifestations. Trying to see if there's anything else in here that I need to show you, but I don't think so. No, okay. I'm just gonna leave that. Let's do 4 flamingos. I will pull our last one out of here, and then I think we're gonna call it. I might pull a conjure card too, just for shits and giggles. Rest after a long period of adversity, sleep and dreaming in solitude, temporary abandonment or hermitage, sometimes a tomb or a coffin signifying the ultimate rest. I mean, even the inversion, activity, cautious, moving forward, gathering wisdom or counsel, and desire for the lost backdoor influence. Oh, I definitely feel like I'm in this like deep rest kind of space. Really deep reflection, internal space. It's been really difficult to reach out, call out, respond. Nothing personal. Just a deep, deep sense of rest. I mean, it's kind of in that weight, in that patience, caring for self, getting in alignment with divine timing. Okay, I think this works for closing this one off. This is you can't go back to yesterday, be in the present. And this absolutely relates to a lot of this, especially within the rest, because you can't start over, you can't go backwards, you can't do things over. all you kind of have is right here and right now. That's why we did the body scan, to get yourself present. You're going to feel yourself getting depressed, right? That's thinking about the past. Anytime you sink into that space of depression, you're thinking about past and being affected by the past and the things in your body that are still held in there, locked in there. We're clearing them. You're clearing them. Just being aware of them will clear them. Anxiety, yes, is future thinking. 44 is an 8. There's a balance here as well. Grieve it, mourn it, go through the ceremony. We're missing ceremonies, right? Go through the process, but understand that the seeds you have planted are going to come into fruition no matter what they are. Something earlier about those seeds, and sure, they can come into fruition and you can have a whole bunch of them, but the things that are sprouted from them can very well be poison. They can look beautiful, they can smell great, but if you eat that, you're dead, right? So we can close this one out. Be in the present. And the Griffin added, "Come, let's hear some of your adventures." "I could tell you my adventures, beginning from this morning," said Alice a little timidly. "But it's no use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then." I mean, right? I mean, we can talk about all those things and all those people's ideas and all these people who think they have their idea of who I am and what I do and all of those things too, but I don't know. I've been in this space of incubation, in this internal kind of hermetic space for so long now. It's interesting waking up from that deep space of rest and peace and back into the world and reconnecting back into the world. Interesting to get a feel for what people's perceptions are. In this lovely moment, Alice is being asked to recount her adventures for the Griffin, who longs to hear them and is genuinely interested. Alice would love to share, too, but she knows if she talks a great deal about what has happened and where she is from, she will never truly be able to move forward and find out who she is now that she has changed and is within the world of Wonderland. This is something I've been thinking a lot about. I've been meditating a lot on, probably within the last at least couple of years, is this whole idea of doing something very new, doing something very different. And it has been, I know in the past it has been a habit, or I don't know, to talk about things in the past or to kind of recount the things. I journal a lot, so I recount the adventures and the experiences, and it seems like that's the space where those recountings kind of have to go. They have to go into a written space, or kind of into their own safe space, into their own safe container, whatever that looks like, because the people aren't safe containers, because in sharing these things and sharing these experiences, people, there's just so much. There's so much for people to take in and so much for people to process that they can't. And I think it's because it's not time yet, or it's not the way in which to share the journey or share the adventure, because we're creating the journey and we're creating the adventure through the things like the transformation guide. That's there and that's existent because we're going through this process and recounting these things through firsthand experience in present time as they're happening. So that's why it's coming out like this. And no, you can't go back to yesterday. It's like you're watching the process unfolding, watching it happen. Something about mirror neurons kicking in, and where are those mirrors looking to, and what are they looking at as far as creating the shapes and shaping the neural framework of the neural connectivity that is creating the mind patterns that's ultimately communicating things into the body. Something between the neural pathways and the genetic code, and how all those things kind of fuse together. Is where all this taking shape place stuff is supposed to resonate or make sense. Oddly enough, it's a personal journey. It's not one that can be done with other people. I think people here are going to want to try and fuse things together, or try to integrate or combine or partner up, or try to fuse concepts, ideologies. But that's not necessarily what they're asking you to do. It's finding out how to integrate all those uncomfortable things within yourself to do the work from within, but people are going to go about it the other way, and it's just going to create more transfusion, confusion, kind of like the chimeric thing. You're not really going to know who you are independent of that, and that's not what we're going for here. The patience pays, wait, consolidate, concentrate into one thing. Don't dilute yourself into the midst of many. That's counterintuitive. Just be you. I mean, there's a justice there. There's something in that beingness and the you-ness there. But you're trying to be somebody or something you're not, or trying to prove something, or you're not doing the work. You're trying to spiritually bypass the work by fusing or vicariously doing things secondhand through others, instead of it's like you want more resources, like you want to bring more in so you can have more money, instead of taking the resources or the money that you have and then investing them into containers like this. It's like people are trying to fill from full containers, so they're just constantly overflowing and then overflowing and overflowing, and then people are like overflowing these pots that are overflowing, and then it's just creating this overflow of like, what's all this? Instead of concentrating that overflow into empty vessels. It's like there's like, you're like, it's empty, so you don't deserve it, or you can't have any, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, that's not, you're creating waste and excess of energy that's spilling out and creating stagnancy, or like just something stinky. Like, it just smells bad, it tastes bad. That's what I have in my mouth. That. So if you concentrate it and you don't confound all the variables, and you have the true essence of the thing, the Griffin wants her to share so he can be entertained and perhaps get to know her a little better. But for Alice, the thought of reliving the past is no good, as it will not help him know her, as she has changed too much. And therefore, her history is not a way to true friendship. Perhaps this is the same for you. Focus on creating new memories, on sharing experiences, on getting to know someone and letting them know you in the present, through observation and conversation. Accept that you have changed. As we change, the simple telling of who we were and what we did is sometimes not as powerful as sharing who we are becoming and experiencing new adventures right in the heart of the precious present moment. Yes, we can share our past adventures and histories, but perhaps you were quite a different person then. So consider adventuring forth and fully experiencing the present with people you have connected with. Your past will spill out of you when the time is right for the sharing of such things. You are more than your past. You have evolved and changed. Sharing your history is only to share who you once were. You are no longer the same person. People will try to define you based off of your past or parts of things that they know of the past, but this is not what shapes you. I like that song. Was it Grace Vanderwall? I'm Not Clay. It's worth listening to. Yeah. Just goes into this whole, or the whole idea behind it is, I'm not clay, so how dare you try to shape me with your words and your stories. And people will do that. They'll try to paint pictures of you and to create these images of you, mostly as an extension of an image that they're trying to create for themselves. Again, in that deluding aspect, it's not concentrated. And it shows up other ways. It's living in the past, speaking of past events, musing over what once was, nostalgia, believing you're the same as you once were, living through stories rather than experiences. Memory overrides the present, no anticipation of the future. So ceremony is really important here. Burying something, burning something. I love burning things in ceremony, especially to get rid of things that are no longer resonant with the essence of who I am in that present time. It's an aspect of letting things go, of processing, and of alchemizing and doing the work so that you can start from a blank slate and start over. It's incredibly freeing and liberating. I'm gonna close out this channel. I'm really grateful for you showing up in this space. If you've made it into this space, you have an opportunity if you're here to ask a question, maybe, but I am gonna close it off. Maybe I'll write you later if you come up with something, or if you have something you want to write down. We'll just kind of wing it. Anything else for this space? I don't think so. I think that's a really good note to leave everything on. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? I'm gonna smudge it, we'll clear it, we'll breathe it. But yeah, thanks again. I'm gonna go stand in the rain. It's raining! And it's thunder and it's lightning and it's the desert, so I'm gonna go dance in the rain.